hopefully set and going for today's yoga, gentle yoga at noon. I'm Jeani, your guide for the next hour or so. We'll probably go over a little bit later if that's okay. Let's see, we have been working on balance and working our muscle groups, our major joint groups, and all this within our walking meditation, the warm-up, and the rest of the class is devoted to basically a cool down. We'll focus a little bit on strengthening in our balance poses as well. So let's see, starting at the back of the mat, if you need blocks to reach the floor, I've been using them lately back here at the mat, just a little stiffer with the colder weather. So, you know, if it helps you, you can always place your props where it's comfortable for you. Today's class will be doing some of the poses like a low lunge strengthening as well as a release from the chair. So if you have something like an armless chair nearby, a seat that is stable, or even the wall. You can try using the wall as well. We'll try to cue for those things. But in the meantime, we'll start at the back of the mat and just settling in. Everything that is bringing you to class today will still maybe be there after class. So in the meantime, we can focus on arriving here. Feeling the mat under the feet. The heartbeat hopefully quieting down just a bit. Standing in our mountain, our home base. Go ahead and keep a gentle bend to the knees. And just let the breath move in and out of the nose. And now we'll begin to cultivate our breath, bringing the left palm to rest on the chest, right palm somewhere under the belly button. Give yourself the next couple of breath cycles to feel the air enter the nose. Maybe lift the hand on the chest as you reach the top of the inhale. And if you briefly pause, you can start the exhale afterwards, helping the air expel from the nose, gently pressing in that bottom belly hand. Engage the core fully at the bottom of the exhale. And as you start to cultivate that more rhythmic, slower breath, we'll finish by bringing the sound of the ocean to the back of the throat. Open up the space right above the voice box. And hear a slight sound like an ocean wave. And then we can go ahead and bring our hands down to the side. Go ahead and rock a little bit at the soles of the feet. Coming back to our mountain, let's go ahead and inhale. Draw energy at the soles of the feet up the body, up the legs, spine, through the crown of the head and beyond. A brief pause. As you slowly exhale, imagine that energy returning, reverse order, back through the body, down the spine, the legs, through the feet to the earth, a little more rooted. The next inhale finds us tipping our center towards the toes, using that full breath there. Stop when you're done, and then go ahead and start rolling the weight towards the back, towards the heel. Use the next couple of breath cycles just to find that heel to toe alignment, center of gravity, and then we'll meet somewhere at the back of the ankles, near to the tops of the feet. In center, dropping in. Inhale once more, lift up through your mountain. And then exhale, roll the weight to the outer right edge of both feet. Your body is nice and long, and as you reach that edge, fully exhaled or inhaled, inhale all the way back up, and then exhale over to the other side. Inhale all the way back up, or just to the other side. You can use a 2-part breath or a 3-part breath, in other words, just to find that side-to-side movement. And then we'll meet at center, at the top of the ankles, near to the heels once more, dipping in. Go ahead and reset the mountain if you need to. We're going to inhale, feel that energy really lengthening up the body through the crown of the head. And as we're energized upwards, we're going to make small circles at about the ankles. Imagine small circles radiating outward towards the edge of our feet. And we may take a few breaths to find the perimeter, but once you do, go ahead and start tightening the circles. We'll return to center, like water going down a drain. Coming back into our mountain, reset once more, lifting up nice and tall, and then small circles in the opposite direction. Same area around the ankles. Our circles are getting larger until we can find the perimeter of the feet, the edge of our feet identified. And then we can go ahead and circle inward towards the center and return to mountain. Give yourself any movement needed. You might actually physically lift up a foot, see if you have a footprint or not. Shake out any residual tightness in the shoulders. Then we'll go on up the body. So we're going to just start shifting our weight from side to side. Your feet should be about hips distance apart, but they might start to get a little wider as you find that balance. And then you can start to pivot the toes outwards as you start to bring more of the torso, a swiveling action to the body. As you find yourself more to one side, you lift the toes to that side so we don't torque our knee. But we're pivoting on the hip or the center mid-foot and just basically getting ourselves swiveling from one side to the other. Maybe the arms are so relaxed that they're just gently knocking against the side of your body. And sometimes if there's a lot of movement in the upper body, your arms might just end up tapping these strategic points on your body. Good energy stimulation here. And then we'll go ahead and let that energy peter out. Coming on back to our mountain, bringing the feet underneath the hips once more, and give yourself a reset of our mountain. Go to the tiptoes, go to the heels. See if you have that inward rotation of the legs. So both knees and toes are pointing in the same direction towards the top of the mat. We're going to feel ourselves lengthening through the legs, tucking under the tailbone just slightly. Now that we're up here, we've got more of the hips perhaps lubricated, knees and ankles. We can come on up to the shoulders. So palms facing forward. Let's go ahead and just let the shoulders lift up towards the ceiling with the total top of your inhale. And then exhale, roll them back and let them melt all the way down. Engage the core at the bottom of the exhale. Feel a little more rooted at the feet. We're doing a total of 4 of these. Inhaling upward, go the shoulders. Exhaling them back and down, go the shoulders. And as we do this, we're just finding how that shoulder girdle is working, how it feels in the chest. Hopefully keeping the palms facing forward. You get rotation of the shoulders away from the ears. Okay, after your 4th one, we'll do another set. This time, as we inhale upward, go the shoulders. We're going to exhale, roll them forward now and down. A total of 4 of these as well. Inhaling up, rolling forward and down on the exhale. See if you can get the points of your shoulder blades to just rest into the mid-back at the bottom of that exhale. Inhales are great for length, gathering energy. Exhale for release. Okay, I think that was the last one for me. Inhaling, getting a little taller in our mountain once more, palms facing forward. We'll feel this string hopefully at the crown of the head just lifting so that on the exhale, all we have to do is dip the right ear towards the right shoulder. Left and right shoulders in one line. Inhaling, we find length even at the sternum. Exhaling, turning the gaze. And then just let your neck stop turning where it naturally will. We're using about 4 total breath cycles here as well. See if you can have your ocean breath assist you in releasing the left side of your neck, while the shoulders all the way down to the ankles are supporting your body in alignment to one another as well as one on top of the other on each hemisphere of the body. Maybe even on that last exhale, your eyes can rest the rightmost of your vision. We'll go ahead and inhale the eyes. The gaze turns, the crown of the head lifts completely towards the ceiling. So all you have to do is exhale to the left side. Inhale for length. Exhale, turn the gaze. Feel rooted from the shoulders down to the heels. Give yourself the yogic breath, assist, to find release on the left side. See if you can hear the ocean at the back of the throat. And after your last exhale, go ahead and bring the eyes, the gaze, the crown of the head back to center. And then exhale, let the eyes float down to the top of the mat. See how the foundation transitions. Make sure you have all points of the feet still in good support all the way up to the shoulders, while you find that nice length with the inhale, with a slight diagonal tilt at the crown of the head. Space the size of a tennis ball at least between the chin and the chest. We still want length in the neck. And as you exhale, engage the core, push out the air. See if you can draw the belly button in towards the spine and root down with just a little more focus in the legs, shoulders, all the way down to the feet. After that last exhale, we're going to inhale the eyes back towards the center, past the center, and towards the ceiling. Once you can see pretty much above you, stop craning the neck. And give yourself another 4 breath cycles, nice and slow. Inhales, exhales, pauses in between. And see if you can release in the front of the throat. You can open the mouth with a small O. Gently sway the bottom of the jaw, left to right. See if you can soften the space between the brow. A deep inhale perhaps finds the rib cage expanding sideways even. And then after your last inhale, we'll go ahead and exhale. Bring the eyes back to the center. Once you're there, give yourself any residual release by shaking the hands, lifting the feet, shifting weight, and we'll start our folds to begin walking meditation. All righty, so resetting our mountain if we need, feeling just a little longer. See if you can root up from the feet, feel a little taller, a little just more stacked of your chin, tucking just gently back into the throat as your shoulders are over the hips, over the knees, over the ankles. We'll go ahead and reach downward. Feel that crown of the head lifting as you reach downward. Inhale, extend as you're still reaching. And at the top, let the torso lift up with the top of the inhale. Exhale, engage the core, start to bend at the knees, but try to keep a straight back. Start to hinge at the hips. You can always walk the hands down the legs if you need support, or just slowly unfold. You're coming to your first fold, so you may not have your chest to your thighs. In fact, you might have more of a half lift position, and that's okay. Just give yourself some time here. You're releasing the lower back. You might need your blocks in front of you. If you feel like having your hands there might help you to support the back. You might have just the forearms on the thighs, might have them on the hands on the shins, but wherever you are, you're just hopefully finding that support from the hips to the heels, while your tailbone, down your spine, the neck, to the head is relaxing with every breath. We stay about a total of 5 breath cycles here in our first fold, a ragdoll. So just making sure your stability in the feet, if you feel like you're tipping forward, just bring a little more weight towards the heels. You can bend one knee gently, bend the other gently, and alternate. See if you can lengthen through one leg a little more, and then bring them back to that supported position in your fold. We're going to come out of our first lengthy fold with a slow roll up. So you want to make sure we're engaging our core. Stepping into the feet, pressing into the feet, engaging the thighs, engaging the glutes. We're going to slowly start to walk the hands up, inhaling. You can walk the hands, or you can just let the back come on up, one vertebra at a time. The neck lifts, the head stacks last, palms face forward. We're settling in to our mountain once more. Inhaling, we start to reach downward, lengthening through our mountain. We're going to inhale, extend the arms up for our second fold. Extend through the arms as you hinge at the hips, engaged core, and start coming on down once more. You can float down all the way, or you can walk the hands down. We're only going to stay here about 3 to 4 breath cycles this time, not as long as before. So you can do any movement that feels good here. You can see about releasing any holds, any activation of the upper body that you don't need to, like maybe the arms, see if they can dangle. See if you're holding onto your head. Gently bobble the head from left to right, front and back. Maybe even let it dangle like a plumb line. And as you find that, still feeling that support at the hips all the way to the heels, we're going to come on out of this second fold, either with a slow roll up as before, inhaling, engaging the core, or with a straight back. Either way, engage the core. Step into the feet, firm up the legs, one vertebra at a time, or with a straight back. All the way up, hands above the head, prayer hands down, heart center. We'll start our walking meditation. Press into your palms, engage the core, bring standing weight to the left leg, and lift the right foot. Find that balance, and exhale it down. Fully exhaled here, engage the core once more. Lift up the left foot, exhale that down. And try to make it one full breath cycle per step. If you get wobbly, press into the hands. Make sure your core is engaged. But it's a slow, steady, meditative walk towards the top of the mat. One full breath cycle per step. If you fall out, that's okay. Come on back. And at the top, we look down at our fingertips in prayer, pressing into the palms, watch them rise. And at the top, we'll separate the palms, engage your core, and hinge at the hips. Come on down, a third fold. You can float down, come all the way down. You might have your blocks here. Go ahead and press into your hands, be it on the blocks, the thighs, the feet, the floor. We're lengthening through the back and through the legs as is available. You might still have that deep bend. That's okay. Just try to lengthen best that you can. Inhaling, and then exhale. Start to bend the knees. Bring the hands down to the blocks, down to the feet, and walk your feet back. Keep a deep bend as you need. And then we're going to inhale. Shoulders over the wrists. Fingers are splayed. Go ahead and bring down the shins. Tops of the feet. You can keep the toes tucked if that's easier for you. But we want to keep the bottom of the body supported with the tops of the feet, the shins primarily, and then the top of the body here at the shoulders. We're having the support under the shoulders with the wrists, the hands, fingers splayed to help distribute the support at the hands. And you can always bring the bend a little further back if you need to, but hopefully at a 90-degree angle or a little further back. Take one more inhale here. And engaged core is key. We want to make sure our belly button is sticking to our ribs, to our spine. Let's go ahead, tuck the toes, lift up the hips, exhale. Just bring the hips back by pressing into those extended arms. Your head should come somewhere in between those elbow crooks. And when you can, your heels will eventually make it down to the mat, but they don't have to right now. They can be a little lifted or highly lifted. You can have deep bends to the knees. We want to keep our arms straight as possible with the bends of the elbows marked towards the back. And then with another inhale, we're going to roll our eyes to the hands, keep that bend to the knees, engage the core, and exhale. Walk the hands to the back of the mat. Maybe your blocks are here. Maybe your hands are just walking to the feet. And here in your fold, we're going to inhale, press into your hands, your forearms, wherever, to lengthen through the legs and lengthen through the back. And then exhale, fold once more. And then we're going to come out, your choice, but press into your feet, engage your core, the thighs, the belly, and start to straighten up. Curl up one vertebra at a time or with a straight back. Feel at this point your hips are just tucking under slightly and you're pressing down, lengthening through the legs, coming all the way back up. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. And we'll have one more walking meditation. Inhaling, hands to the chest. Let's go ahead and lift right foot. Exhale it down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale that down. And it's okay. If you need to take more than one breath at a time, do your best. And at the top of the mat, we meet in mountain, looking down at the fingertips. Inhale, press into the palms, look up and release the hands. Hinging at the hips, engaging the core. Making sure as you float down, you walk the hands down if you need, or come all the way down to your fold. Inhale, press into wherever your hands can contact to lengthen through the legs and through the back. And then exhale once more back to the fold. Bend the knees if you need. Come on down to your blocks, your feet, and start walking the feet all the way back to the back of the mat. And this time we're coming into a high plank full. Inhaling, lengthening through the legs. We're pressing into our arms. We have that nice diagonal from the heels all the way to the crown of the head. The belly button is sticking to your ribs, nice and strong. Inhaling. Exhaling. Then let's go ahead and inhale. Lift up the hips and slowly come back to our down dog. We can go ahead and let the heels lower where they need to and make your adjustments. Maybe you're feeling like your upside down V is more like an upside down U, or maybe even wider. So check the length between your arms and your feet. You can always walk up a little bit more on the tips of the toes and stay there. And exhaling, feeling the tailbone lift. And then we can inhale. Roll the eyes towards the hands. Keep a deep bend to the knees if you need. And we're going to walk the hands as we exhale once more. Fully exhaled here at the back of the mat in our fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, we're going to come all the way back up. Again, slow roll up or with a straight back, but engaging the core, stepping into the feet and lifting up the hands all the way up and then exhaling down, heart center. We'll go ahead and bring our hands down to the side. Just let your heart beat. It's a good time for a little bit of water. And we'll be moving into a balanced pose of just stretching while in mountain as we usually do, just to give yourself a little lengthening. A panticulation is the term I've learned. Activating muscles that your body uses to stay upright and well supported as gravity is bearing down on our head. So we'll come over to our mountain. And now, notice how the mountain feels. Maybe it's a little different from the beginning. Feet are about hips distance apart. You can roll from heel to toe with a little more focus on exactly where your center is. We're stopping somewhere above the ankles to the backs of the heels. Now, as we stand here, you may notice the bend to the knees. And I'm going to go ahead and turn sideways so you might have a better idea. But as we're here, coming up with a tented, okay. Hopefully the mic didn't just get muffled there, but okay. So if we have a bend to the knee, that's fine, but as we're coming into our mountain, we want to lengthen through the legs. We'll have our tailbone tuck under slightly. The hips will press forward, and hopefully that'll bring alignment of the hips over the knees, over the ankles. And as our torso is pitched forward, we're also trying to lengthen up through that and rolling up the shoulders and down so that you have a good length. Your abs, all your musculature is supporting the upper torso here. Gentle tuck of the chin. And you may just feel like a string is pulling everything into alignment. And then you can notice where your feet Are they rolling out, rolling in? Are they just simply supporting you with all even distribution of weight? That's the sweet spot we want to get to. And from there, let's go ahead and bring the arms up. Thumbs can be at the top, and we're just going to bring them up, palms facing each other. If you can reach up, lift up with the torso, maybe the chin lifts a little bit, and then feel a little more rooted. Exhale, engage the core. Inhale, you can grab a hold of the opposite wrist, either hand down or hand up, see what feels better for you. We're going to press with that foot that we've got a hold of. So I've got a hold of my left wrist. I'm going to gently anchor my left leg. Make sure it does not lift up as we inhale, reach, and then exhale, just turn over. We're not bending at the waist. We're just simply stretching this out, keeping our left leg anchored so we have a nice long length. Inhale all the way back up, hands down, heart center, and let them relax. You can let them fold forward and back, sideways if you need, but just let them relax. We're going to come back into our mountain once more. Feel it a little more supported. Use only those muscles needed, and then we'll go ahead and bring the arms all the way back up. Palms are facing each other once more, and grab a hold of the opposite wrist, however that feels good for you. We're anchoring our right foot now, or that wrist fit, lift up, and then exhale, just come on over. You're stretching from the arm, from the armpit, and you're making sure that right foot does not lift up. And you stop where you generally are naturally stopping. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale, hands down, heart center. Let them relax. Let them just dangle forward and back. Once more. And then we're going to give a good bend to the knees. Give yourself a good bend and give a hip front. You're going to stick out your tailbone is what I'm saying. Give yourself just a nice little pelvic push back, and then lift the torso, pressing into the legs, tucking under the belly, lengthening, and see if you can feel more of an upright position in your mountain now. Tucking the chin so that everything hopefully is lining up. So as we get there now, we've got one more, and we're going to move into our chair from this position. Feel that good foundation at the feet. We reestablished the rolling of the ankles. There's no rolling. It's just straight up and down support. And then we can go ahead and bring the arms up at an angle, and we're going to pelvic tilt again to kind of stick out our butt, and we're just slightly, and then we're going to bend the knees. We're not going to bend too deeply. Look down and see your toes, hopefully. But from a side view, that simple movement is just going from a straight movement like that, arms up, and then pelvic tilt back, and we're coming into our chair now. So I still feel that center of gravity right here at the heels, from the hips to the heels. You can go ahead and bring the arms down too, and bring your hands to the hips. Feel that support right there. You can bounce gently on the heels, lift up the toes. Hopefully you didn't find that center shifting, and then release the feet. We're going to inhale, lifting up the torso by just simply straightening the legs. Actively lifting up and rolling towards the inner, and then just straight down. All right. Now, having felt that, that was our chair with our feet at hips distance apart. Now, see if you can bring the inner arches of the feet as close as you can. That is going to give you more challenge in your balance, but just notice how that feels. Roll to the toes, roll to the heels. Give yourself that second chance to identify your center. Can you feel it at the tops of the feet, nearer to the heels? Great. I'm going to turn around to the side, and now with our feet together, we're going to move into chair once more. We're going to stick out the tailbone just slightly, stick out the butt a little bit, and then we can raise the arms, and we're just going to bend the knees and hinge right there at the knees, looking down until you stop, until you can feel your glutes engage. Your quads will definitely be engaged, but see if you can feel it more in the glutes. Look down, make sure you can still see your toes. And as your arms are out in front, it's just giving you sort of like a counterbalance, so you can feel the weight in the heels more. And here, we're going to do one more thing. See if you can zip up those legs. I'm going to turn to the side. And as you're here, you might have a big space between the knees, and that's okay. We're internally rotating those hips so we can eventually get the knees and the toes pointed in the same way. And we've been here for a while. So your arches are together, your knees are zipped up. Really try to zip up your legs and then relax it for just a moment as we inhale and straighten, bring down the arms, and then release through the legs. Alrighty, we're doing this one last time. We're going to inhale the arms up. We're going to stick the butt back just a slightly and start to bend our knees. Our legs are together, zipped up, nice and tight. And see if you can roll some of that weight towards the balls of the feet. It's slight. You may not roll too much, but try to keep your balance. Keep those legs zipped. Keep your core engaged. And then we're going to bring down the hands, heart center. Keep them at the chest, core engaged. And then let's go ahead and inhale, straighten the legs. Bring the hands up if you'd like. And then we'll go ahead and just let them open. And then release. At the bottom of that exhale, hopefully you felt your glutes release a little bit. All righty, we'll step our leg out to the side just slightly, and then to the other side. Reestablish your mountain once more, and notice how the hips feel. Give yourself some bouncing movements, and then we're going to bring standing weight to the left leg. Just bring standing weight to the left leg. You don't have to lift the right foot. Just bring standing weight to that left leg. Your glutes should be firing. You should be able to feel that good support from the glute all the way down to the toes, to the heel. Now go ahead and lift the right heel and give yourself small rotations at that right ankle in one direction, and then small rotations in the other direction. And then we'll let that heel go down. Go ahead and find balanced weight once more, lifting up both feet. Bring standing weight to the right leg. Hopefully you still have that firing from the glute all the way down to your heel. And then we can lift the left heel. Go ahead and make small rotations in one direction. Your rotations might be restricted, might just be in the ankles, might be a little more in the hip. See how that feels. And then slow down, stop, and we'll make small rotations in the opposite direction. And then notice how much more rotation or mobility in some form that you might have. Just notice. Then we'll bring that foot down, bring balance to both legs. Give yourself a nice little gentle bounce up and down. Alrighty. And then we're moving to the chair. Now, we're going to do hopefully two things with the chair pose here. And I'm going to keep it to the side. We typically do a hip opener, which we will do as the second part of this pose with chair. But what we're also going to do is just try to give a little strength. So as we come to the side position, or if you were to just go into a low lunge, you might be standing and just step a leg back. And then you can start to bend that front knee and start to walk this left leg back if you don't want to use the chair. You're essentially strengthening with keeping that front knee bent at about a 90-degree angle, and we're extending through the left hip, finding strength with that eventually. But if you have this chair under you, like we're about to do our usual hip release, we can kind of give ourselves that opportunity to develop the strength here. You can use the chair to help you. You can actually start from being in that position where you've got half of the hip off, as we typically do. Get your front leg into that 90 degree. Get the foot back here somewhere, but not at the midline, just back behind that midline. So your knee might still be forward, may not be, your left hip may not be extended, that's okay. But if you're working here, you're just finding the hands on one arm around the back, one hand on the seat perhaps, and finding the strength to sit up slightly hovering above the chair. Try not to use too much support in the arms. you want to fire up those muscles you need. So that would be the front foot, your core, your right glute, while the ball of the left foot, the left quad is supporting. And you can help to increase that, giving yourself 5 full breaths once you find that, holding the core, trying to find that strength. And then we'll go ahead and release. If you're just in a regular lunge, go ahead and stand up. We'll switch sides. If you're on the chair, we're going to sit down on that chair, bring the foot up, and just turn to the other side. So if you're standing doing your lunge, you'll just do the same thing. You'll stand from mountain and step back and develop your low lunge there. If you're above the chair, using that as part of your low lunge, we're going to find that left hip support, left sits bone support on this side. We're going to have that right foot back where we can. Right knee is still in front. We want to make sure we can feel the sole of the left foot on that floor. And once you've got the hands where you feel secure with the chair if you need, we're going to inhale and press. We're going to step into that left foot, engage the quad. We're going to readjust if we feel kind of a little not aligned correctly, but we should have that back ball of the foot supporting us as well. And the knee is close to dropping vertically down as possible, but our right glute is engaged, the right shin, the right quad, as well as the stability, that foundation from the left leg, and releasing through the hands as much as possible, but use your support if you need it, and engaging that, holding it for 5 breath cycles. And sometimes just getting to this point is 5 breath cycles, but do try, once you find your sweet spot, to find the ocean breath and help that facilitate. When you're ready to come out, if you're standing without the chair, just stand and walk back to mountain. And if you're here on the chair, let your sits bone release back to the seat and be nice and fully relaxed. Just release. Alrighty, and here, now we're going to go into not the portion of strengthening, but in releasing. So before, when you're hovering above that chair, you're really firing up those muscles. But now we want to take this same position and just release through our right hip. We have just a left right angle on our left leg here, and we're finding that space where we can keep the left side of our body supported on the chair, and we're just releasing through the right spot, the right hip. So that might mean that your foot, you're playing with the position of your foot while you're in the chair. And once you find that you've extended this right hip as far back as you can go, you just breathe, sitting upright, feeling that release in the hip. If you can manage the top of your toes to be flat, that might give you a little more release in the tops of your ankle. You may find that eventually you can inch the foot back, and eventually this left hip, this right hip, right thigh is vertical. And eventually you may end up being able to get an extension release by just simply going a little bit beyond that vertical position of center. And you don't want to stretch it too hard. You're just letting it release. It's either you can do it or you don't. You want to make sure you're not going too far. Holding the poses in these cooling down sections of your practice, you want to be able to hold it with comfort and ease. If you struggle with your breath, just come on out and go back with less intensity, or relax in a position that you can maintain. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and slowly start to bring the foot, tops of the back foot up so you can tuck the toe, start walking that leg forward. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and turn to the center of the chair, lean back, give yourself a windshield wipe from side to side. We'll come on over to the right side. Now if you're in your lunge and you're getting your standing position, Just make sure your left leg, shin is supported, the leg on the bottom, that is best for you. And you're just simply gently opening up through the torso as we're doing here on the chair, getting that opening in the left hip. But because this is more of a release, you want some sort of support on that leg at the bottom. Shin under your, a block under your shin, or just not as deep of a lunge. So you can find that forward movement of the left hip in just a releasing position and not a position of strength where you need to support the body. All righty. And here we're just breathing 5 good deep breath cycles. See if after a few breaths, you're able to adjust. Maybe you can untuck the toes. Maybe you find that you have just a little more space to draw the knee into more of a vertical position. Or maybe you're just perfect where you are. But we're breathing in that ocean breath, finding any achiness with the inhales, bringing energy, bringing light. With the exhales, hopefully releasing any achiness. And after your very last breath there, we'll come out by simply bringing the toe to a tucked position if it was resting on top of the mat, the carpet, and you'll start to just inch them forward. And coming up out of your release, you're just standing and then walking the leg back up to mountain if you're using your regular low lunge release. And here, give yourself some time in your home position of mountain, and we are going to bounce gently, just lifting up and down on your knees. So you can now feel that. So now that you're back here in our mountain, just give yourself a nice up and down movement and rolling on the feet. And then once more, we're going to come up to the toes. See if you can balance on the balls of the toes. Notice if you roll out or roll in. You don't have to go too high. Just roll somewhat onto the balls of the feet and then roll down. We'll go ahead and kick out any residual tension gently. Forward. And the same side of your foot that you're kicking before you cross over. Alrighty, and then we'll make our way down to the mat. And let's see, we have one last thing here. So if you prefer to stay in the chair, you can. We're just gonna do a half lotus, just slightly, and then move into our Shavasana after that. So from the chair, just sit on down at the edge of the chair seat. And if you're down on the mat, you can be in your staff position. I'm just starting off here in the edge of the chair, on the edge of the chair, with my legs in somewhat of a staff position as well. And as we go into a half lotus, all you're doing is externally rotating that hip as you start to draw the left foot over. If you want to start with your right, feel free. But you just do the external rotation and then find if you can cross your ankle over your foot. And then you're going from there. You may need to lean back, but you don't want to be leaning back so far. That means you're just not open enough. So you may just need to get to this point where we're crossing an ankle over a shin. But eventually, we want to bend this left knee, or the knee that you're starting with, and bringing it into a half lotus position. In a chair, it looks like a figure 4. And in your staff position, we're just waiting for the left knee to drop towards the floor. It can still be lifted. In fact, it'll be pretty much lifted, but it's going to just open up. If it's high up here, it'll just open up a little bit and drop. If you're sitting in your chair, we're making sure we're not leaning over to one side or the other. Again, the position of your pelvic bowl is going to dictate how your spine straightens up. So as much as we're able to bring our lower limbs into a figure 4 and opening up the hips, our last part might be also just lengthening through our torso, trying to keep that upright position. And as we can, bring our torso into a more upright position as we're able. Takes us about 3 to 5 breath cycles to find that sweet spot. You might be further along, but once you're there, give yourself 5 good deep breath cycles. Breathe in slowly. Hold that for a moment, and then exhale slowly. Hear the ocean at the back of the throat. Inhaling is a great time to scan the body. See if you can bring good energy there to help heal that area that might be tight, might be full of scar tissue, might be a lot of things going on that if you just bring your awareness there for a positive healing, you may just be surprised at what your body can do. All right, now to come out, we're going to internally rotate the hip. We may need to lean back, may need to gently assist the leg down. Lengthen through the leg, give yourself a gentle bounce. See if you have a range of mobility there. You may need to check it out with small movements, forward and back, left and right, rolling of the ankles, pointing of the toes, flexing of the feet, maybe an internal rotation slightly of the leg, one to the other. You might be waving with your foot. Alrighty, and then you can give yourself a readjustment, coming back into your seated position, whether in staff on the mat or on the chair. Come back to both legs being lengthened, sitting upright in our pelvic tilt forward and up, and then externally rotating the opposite leg. It's my right leg here, and seeing where our hip opener allows us for this half lotus with the right leg. And as we come up the leg, noticing how that affects our upright position. You may feel that side of the shin muscle as you're in your figure 4. They'll get a nice stretch along the IT band, especially as your knee starts to drop outward. And if you find yourself struggling, again, come on out, go back in with less intensity. Once you find that sweet spot, we're using the breath for 5 more inhales, pause, exhales, pause. 4 more breath cycles. Sometimes softening the gaze and just checking inward. And maybe by that last breath, you might find something releases that you weren't aware that you were holding. All right, as we come out, we're going to inhale, internally rotate the hip as we start to lengthen through the leg, bringing the heel, leg, and then again, once everything's extended, give yourself the movement. Slow at first. See if windshield wipes might help. See if rolling the ankles, pointing the toes, flexing the feet. See what helps you to reset. And we'll be meeting on our back or in the chair if you'd like to Shavasana in your chair. Otherwise, we'll meet on our back, on the floor. I'll be sitting upright to mind the time. And when you hear the 3 bells, we'll awaken from our Shavasana. Now laying down on your back, rest the back of the neck flat on the mat, or you can fold a blanket and put it underneath the neck. I'll just demonstrate. You can have a folded blanket under the neck, under the small of the back. You can even have support under the knees if that feels good to you. Otherwise, you can just lay flat on the back. Legs can be together, or they can be a little wider apart, and just let them roll out towards the corners of the mat. You might have that high space at the lower lumbar, and that blanket might help you if you have compression there that doesn't feel good. Otherwise, you might just need the help of gravity to let you slowly just melt into the mat. And when you do, things might come back to the mind. That's all right. Just note it and then let it go. And then let your body respond to today's practice. bringing the mind back to the body, taking note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to your own breath. Notice how your chest lifts with each inhale and how the belly falls with each exhale. And as you reconnect to the body vessel once more, give yourself any movement in the fingers, toes. You can hug yourself and rock the body back and forth. And as you come back into the body vessel, we'll meet in a upright seated position to close out our class for the year with a breath exercise. Our pranayama exercise of the breath of fire has been keeping us hopefully warmer through the cold times. And I can say that it's really good to maintain core strength as well. So I hope you take this practice into the new year. And having said that, we'll go ahead and meet. You can sit either in a hero pose or in a easy seated. Sitting upright on your sits bones. Feel that internal rotation of the thighs. See if you can zip up those legs once more. Feel the core just gently engage and your foundation is set. We'll go ahead and on the last breath, make that about a 5-second hold, and then we'll do a slow release of that as well. We start with pursed lips, inhaling deeply and blowing through the pursed lips, starting now. Hold it. Release. Let the breath just naturally return. We'll do that a second time. Inhaling deeply, nice and upright. Starting now. Hold it. And release. Bringing hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining us here at the ACC's Community Room for Gentle Yoga at Noon. Namaste.